Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Petrino. I'm on the board here at Boise Entrepreneurship Week, and I'm joined today by Moshit Mizrachi-Gabbitas, who's the founder and head pastry chef of Janjou. And Moshit, maybe if you want to do a little introduction, tell us a little about yourself and the business, and then we'll get into some questions.
I moved to Boise from Israel. I'm Israeli originally. I moved to Boise in 2007. This is my second career. I was in the semiconductors before. Moved to Boise in 2007, opened my business in 2008, but in a different configuration. It was more like a wholesale. Okay. And the store opened in 2013. My husband, Chuck, is also a co-owner of Janjou Patisserie. We should not forget him. And so we opened in 2013. Yes. And
Chuck is he makes a lot of the coffees, I know, when I'm in there as well. And I'm sure he does many other things as well. But he's certainly a face of the bakery.
Yes. Chuck is the best barista.
Excellent.
He is. He runs the front of the house. Yes.
Great. And I want to thank you too, because you've created something very special in the community. I know myself, my wife, we love it, but also we see a lot of the community in there. And thank you for creating that. And thanks for investing some time with us today to share your story.
You're very welcome. I'm honored to be here.
And so we have today, it's a bit of a, normally we call this a fireside chat, but Moshit's actually seated in the bakery. So it's a bit of an oven side chat today. I think we've talked about this prior, running a business like yours requires a high level of passion, which you certainly have, but also you need to attract the talent that shares that passion with you and that passion for quality. And we'll certainly get into that. You mentioned this is your second career after working in semiconductors. How did you know the time was right to start a second career, and particularly this one?
I never thought that I would become a pastry chef. Life just sometimes leads you to where you need to be. We have a saying in Hebrew that you can plan whatever you want, but God has different plans, and that's what's going to happen. So it actually, from a sad thing, something positive happened. I lost my mother in 2001. And I was this career woman, I was working for Intel for about 10 years. I started to feel a little bit bored with my job, but I had no clue what I wanted to do. And I had a good job, I had a good pay and good benefits, but I felt like something was missing. And when my mom passed away, all of a sudden I needed to start cooking because there was nobody to cook for me on the weekend. So I started cooking. And I started baking as well. And I realized that I liked baking a lot more than cooking. So I continued to work, at Intel, and I had a lot of time on my hands. I decided to do something with it. And I went to night school for baking, just for the fun of it. And it just swallowed me. I just loved it. And I felt that this is what I wanted to do. I just knew it in my bones, if you can say that. So I slowly made a transition. I had a goal, and that's what I was going to do. Yeah.
Excellent. You talked about setting that goal. How long did it take you? Let me ask, how did that goal change from when you first decided this was something you wanted to do? As you started to do it, did you keep moving that goal out and did that evolve?
Oh yeah. It moved, life happens, right? So I moved here. First of all, I want to say that before I moved here, I worked for free for about 2 months in a bakery in Israel because I wanted to make sure that this is the right thing. I'm a very cautious person. So I don't make impulsive decisions. Yeah. So I went and worked for free in a high-end bakery in Tel Aviv. And I drove 2 hours each direction every day to be there. And then that convinced me. And then I moved to Boise. I needed to wait for a work permit because I was an immigrant. So that took time. And then, to get all the permissions and so from the moment I came in 2007, opened the business on paper in 2008, started baking cookies, started selling them at the co-op, Boise Co-op, and then I opened the store in 2013. So it took about 6 years?
Yeah. So it's not like you just moved to town and opened the bakery that we see today.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You mentioned some of the process that you went through. What about some of the roadblocks, maybe as you were growing or trying to figure out the direction to take the business? I'm sure there were many challenges, too many that we probably have time to cover them all. But what were some of those challenges or roadblocks as you were, navigating that 6 or 7 year period?
One of the things that was hard to find was the location. The location was a hard thing to do because if you remember, I moved here and the recession started. So the 2008 recession, and that was scary. It was scary to take that financial commitment. But there were a lot of empty stores that I could choose from. But I had a realtor that, walked around town with me for 4 years.
Wow. Until
we found the right location. And the funny thing is that the location that I'm in right now was the first location we looked at. We couldn't take that location because Alberton across the street has exclusivity, and they can say nay or yay on which business comes into the store, and a bakery is a competitor for them.
Yeah.
So at first we couldn't take it, but long story short, the square footage here is smaller than what the contract says for a competitive bakery. So we managed to take it. So that was one. Second was to get the loan from the bank.
Yeah.
I went to the bank. I can tell you how many times with my financial statements. And I was so proud of myself that I sold more and more every time. And I said, look at how much I'm selling. Will you give me a loan now? And they said, no, you need to sell more. So every year, it took me 5 years to convince the bank that I'm actually worthy of an SBA loan. Jeez. And they also had a say on the location, where I had a different location that I looked at, and they said, no, you need to find a different location. We have a client in this location, and this location is not doing good.
Interesting.
So all that taught me, I'm glad that it all took time.
Yeah.
Because I've learned so much during the process, Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So those are some things people probably don't think about as like just some of the real estate considerations, the financial statements that you need, right? Those things are all, you don't see that when you walk into the bakery or when you go there today, but that is all, on the road up to where you are today. Certainly.
Yes.
So that brings us to today, and your business being what it is, requires a certain amount of discipline and passion. Mm-hmm. You certainly have that. That's probably difficult to find in the environment that we're in today, where talent and labor and are a bit scarce. How are you finding that situation today to find really high skilled disciplined bakers like yourself? You put 2 years in, or you said 2 months for free, I think, working just to figure it out. How's that journey been for you to attract the best talent?
So the problem for us as a bakery has started actually about, I think, 5 or 6 years ago, when they closed all the culinary schools in the area. And I anticipated that this is going to happen, right? But it's very, very hard to find people. And it has a big impact on us. So we are serving, in a way, also as a culinary school. I mean, I'm at the point now that I am willing to teach who's ever willing to learn.
Yeah.
I'm at the point that I'm not looking, when somebody submit a resume, I am not looking at their experience. I'm looking at their quality of, what quality of people do I interview?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking technically for hardworking people that are not afraid of hard work, that are willing to learn.
Yeah.
So it's been hard. It's been very hard. I think I'm distracted. What was the question again?
Just, I think what that journey has been like to find that talent. And I had said, what is the best talent, finding the best talent. And I think you answered the question by, you're looking for the hardest working people and people willing to learn, not necessarily, right, someone that's graduated culinary school, because as you said there, that's dried up a little bit, perhaps.
Yes. And also, people are leaving this industry. So even if they do have the skills, they don't want to be in this industry, which is a big problem. So it's very challenging. Yeah.
And we should say too, you're quite protective of the staff that you do have. You've limited your opening hours so people aren't overworked, and they need to feel good about coming to work as well, right?
Yes. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to put all my cards on the table, because I have employees that have been with me for 10 years. It's not easy. They've been with me through thick and thin.
Yeah.
But I can't overwork them. I mean, if somebody, if I don't take care of their mental health right now,
yeah,
I might lose them, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And that's a theme that we probably want to call out, or you've obviously, that's a learning that, I think you're sharing with the community, right? Is the talent is good talent is always hard to find. That's probably true more now than ever. But also that, how do you protect the talent that you have and the staff that's been quite loyal to you over the years as well, right?
And we need to remember, I think that all business owners will tell you that, I hope. We're nothing without our employees.
Yeah.
We can't do it all. I'm a control freak. I can do a lot, but I cannot do everything.
Yeah.
And this is something that I know and I appreciate, and I have a lot of respect for the choice that they're making every day to get up and come here and go through this. I don't take it for granted. It's not enough just the fact that I'm paying them.
Yeah.
So, they make an effort. They make a personal effort to come here and be part of it.
Yeah. That's a good point too. And I know you've mentioned, right, it's not necessarily just a pay issue either. I think that's pretty clear. It is people have to gravitate towards the work. They have to feel valued, right? They have to care, right? They're doing as well. And that's interesting right now, because in some ways the economy is being reconfigured, right? In certain ways.
Yes.
And so it's important that people feel connected to their work and well taken care of, no matter the industry, right? That feels especially relevant, though, in a business like yours that requires a high level of passion. You really have to care about. I mean, I go to your bakery, almost every week. You have to care about, right, making those pastries and making them authentically or at a certain level. It's not that takes something special to care about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mentioned that, like, how do you find that because of that passion is required, how do you find people that are as passionate about something as you are? You're the business owner. You've been on this, multi-year journey. It's a second career. You're doing this because you really are drawn to it, and it fills your soul, I think is something you said earlier. How do you find people to work on your dream with you? And get them involved in the business so they care as much as you do?
It's a tricky one. Because I have loyal employees, but even my husband, Okay, doesn't see the business like I do.
Yeah.
This is my baby. This is my vision. In a way, you can say that the business, if I walk out of the business, it won't be the same business. It's all my craziness and passion and love that I do. But I think that in a way, passion can be taught a little bit, or how to love your job can be taught. It's either you have it or you don't, but it's also something that you can develop with time. I carry a lot of pride with what I do, and I do it in the kitchen as well. And I want to believe that I transmit it to my employees as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's, you can feel that when you walk into the bakery, or at least I think I have felt that when I walk in. You can definitely feel that. How do you, you may have answered this in some way, but how do you maintain such high standards, knowing that, talent is a bit short and things have been, like I said, kind of reconfigured in the economy. There's a lot of forces kind of pulling at you as a business owner. How do you keep your standards so high?
First of all, it's a personality thing. My entire family is like that. We have high standards. So it's genetic, but it's also, I'd rather do less, but whatever I do it right.
Yeah.
There's no shortcuts. I may not have all my offerings every day now, but whatever you have, I can guarantee you that it's 100% perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a comment in there about kind of focusing, if you have to focus on less, but higher quality all the time.
So I wanted to say that I think that's one of the reasons that we're closing also for 2 days. We're only operating Thursday through Sunday is because if we want to maintain the same level, we have to reduce the quantity of what we do in order to maintain the quality with the staff that we have right now. And that's one of the reasons I didn't want to ruin our reputation just because, we need to be open 6 days a week.
Yeah. So it's that's an interesting point, and also the quality of the talent and your employees, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
As well, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of answered the question I was going to ask, which is about over the years, how has it changed? You said it was about 5 years ago the culinary schools had closed in the area.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you said you saw that coming. What made you, how did you see that coming? And actually, why do you think they closed, and how did you see that coming?
I honestly, this is my first business that I run on my own. I didn't put too much thought into it because I was doing all right. I had staff that stayed with me for quite a long time. I mean, just recently I lost 2 employees that one was 10 years with me and one was 4 years with me. I was a little bit naive that maybe nobody will leave and I'm good because I take good care of them. But, the pandemic made people think. Some of them left. But I never thought that I would be in a position where I won't be able to find a replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even culinary school students here, the level is not really quite where I would have liked them to be. So I still needed to do some investment into their education.
Yeah.
So, but now it's just a lot harder.
Yeah.
A lot harder. Yes.
We had chatted previously. You mentioned there's a need for us as a community to come together. You're serving the community and providing a lot of joy. But also, you've said you recently moved to the community. What has your experience been in Boise? And somebody who's moved to the community but opened a business. What has your experience been in the community as somebody who's not originally from here and is now a business owner?
I think Boise is amazing. Boise feels like home to me. I mean, I go to Israel is home for me as well. I go to Israel and after 10 days, I miss Boise. I want to come back. This is how Boise, that much of a home for me now. But I've been so well received, as a person. I remember that when I first moved and I started meeting people about and telling them about my story, what I want to do, there were so many people that were willing to help me. And I'm like, wait a second. Yeah. What is your hidden agenda? Why do you want to help me? But people are just like that in Boise. That's the beauty of Boise. And I hope that we will never, ever lose that, And, also, if I may say, our family went through a tragedy and we lost our son about 5 years ago. And I cannot even imagine going through this tragedy somewhere else. Yeah. The community just hugged us and loved us so much. And that encouraged me to come back to work. I opened the store 2 weeks after the accident. Yeah. And people, our customers kept us alive, and they're still, now it's my time to give back. Yeah. You see, it's a love story. It really is.
Well, that is, when we were planning Boise Entrepreneur Week, we wanted this event to be very authentic to the community. And previously, this event was Boise Startup Week, which was, I think great, but opening it up to and broadening the focus to Boise Entrepreneur Week, right, really, I think allowed us to embrace the community aspect and make sure it was true to the community. And I know your business is a big part of the community. And as you shared, it's a big part of your life and your families as well. So, so I think we're, coming up on time here. I have two last questions for you. If you had some words of wisdom for aspiring entrepreneurs, I think there's some younger entrepreneurs in the audience or who are going to be watching this. Having been through what you've been through and having a second career, having this be your second career, what words of wisdom might you share with the community today?
I think perseverance is a big, big word that needs to be, it's not going to be easy. There are times that, the road's going to be very, very bumpy, but if you really, really believe in yourself, and if you really, really know that this is what you want to do, don't let anything or anyone, distract you from it. There are good days and bad days. Yeah. Still to today, good days and bad days, but you just have to persevere. Yeah. Tomorrow is going to be a better day. And what happened today happened for a reason, so you can learn from it. Don't take it as a done deal. Yeah.
The perseverance, but then the continual learning.
Yes.
And wrapped up in anything.
I continue to learn every day. Every day there's a new technique I learn, a new way to do the recipe. It's ongoing. Yeah. It's ongoing. And it's also important to open your mind, not be stuck on things. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to get stuck on things, but keep an open mind.
So that I lied. I said I had only two questions. Now I have two more. You just made me think of one. When you transitioned from a corporate career like you did into this career, was that a mind shift in that you had to use your imagination more and create your own path, which in some cases is not always the situation if you're working in the corporate world?
I took a lot from the corporate world with me into this business, but I also tried to make this business a lot more personal. I sometimes joke that my employees are my children. I treat them like my children. More than my employees sometimes, but I think it's a combination of things. I may not be so rigid like a corporation, but on some things. But there are also some things that if I don't stay technical and rigid, I will lose my focus.
I do. And then my last question is, what is your favorite pastry in the bakery?
So I'm boring, but I just like the butter croissant.
That's very traditional.
It's very traditional, but to me, it's the simplicity of the ingredients conveys the talent.
Mm-hmm.
I can't hide it with some other, flavors or creams or whatever. The texture, I always check the texture of my croissant. I cut it and I make sure that the honeycomb is there, and the taste of the butter, and how soft it is and crunchy at the same time. So for me, it's a macchiato, one shot macchiato, and a butter croissant, and I'm in heaven. I'm happy.
I love it. So that's the baker's order right there.
Yes, that's the baker's order every day.
Thank you, Moshit. First of all, thanks for what you've created for our community, and thanks for investing some time today and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for inviting me, and I want to thank you, and I also want to thank the community for loving us and supporting us through thick and thin. And I hope to stay here and continue to work hard for the community for many more years.
Excellent. Well, I'll see you this weekend at the bakery.